Hello everyone, this is Ben Ryder from the Academy of Gaming Film and Animation, and for the next video what we're looking at is multiple joints with multiple meshes. So what happens if you want to have more than one mesh connected, if you want to have this ball and socket joint like we have here? Well, it's very simple and very similar to what we would do with a single one. We just simply add in more of these bones. So I created this mesh by simply, this skeletal mesh simply by going into the orthographic view, going in, creating this bone and moving up there. Nothing too complicated there. Covered it in the last video on how to create skeletal joints and how to parent them. So it's very similar to that. The only difference really is how we parent it. And really we're just following it down the line. So for example here, when I move this, we can see it's already moving there, but we can also see that this point here is really the one we want to use to drive it, because that's the one that's actually centered in logically to where this should be. So it's important when you have these rigs to consider which bones you're using to animate it, because it is really all just an illusion. So we want to lean into that illusion. No rig's going to be perfect and you're always going to see weird kind of deformations happening. It doesn't need to be perfect though. As long as you can keyframe in the animations you need, then that rig is suitable. So just to cover though how we would parent this in like so, as you can see it follows down the chain like that. So I'm just going to select this cylinder, press Shift P, select this sphere and do the same. So an important step to cover as well when you're parenting these things up is to make sure that all of these are frozen. So to do that, you simply go here to Poly Modeling and click here on this one to delete type by history and freeze transformations. That just means that if it's been altered in any way, shape or form, and you have now transforms here and a history of the sort of things that you have done, then you have a way of being able to delete that so that when you parent it up to the joint, you don't have conflicting information coming in there. So we just need to freeze transformation and delete history, and we only do that to the mesh. We don't necessarily do that to the joint because we want it to keep its coordinates. That's how it's communicating that out to the FBX later on. So we don't want to freeze and transform the joint, just the mesh. But then we select the mesh and we work our way. You can work your way up or down, it doesn't really matter, as long as you go in order. So I'm going to go here, select that and press P, select that and press P, and there we go. So that's all I really wanted, and that to there. And so now, when I move this joint here, the whole thing moves, but when I go onto this joint here, it just moves that child joint there. So it's very useful for animating and creating mechanical rigs, but you can also use this for characters and really anything that requires this. Doors, windows, you name it. It's a very versatile way of being able to animate. And the good news is that when you export this out as an FBX, Unreal will recognize all of those keyframes and allow you to be able to import that as a skeletal mesh already pre-made.